Okay, so the next one I wanted to do for you today is in the same Suzuki Book 3, and this is piece number 4, Scherzo. So I'm just going to do a couple of teaching points within Scherzo. I'm going to play through some sections, and then maybe at the end I'll play through the whole entire piece if we have time. So most important thing to me in Scherzo is really the bowing pattern, the 16th notes that you're going to need to do. Now it's important to work with a metronome to get those very even. And it's also important to have the right stroke. So I always encourage my students to practice this with a scale first. So it can either be Good. So I kind of went back and forth there between doing 4 to a bow 16th notes and doing 2 to a bow 16th notes. Okay, the idea though is that the stroke should be a scrub stroke. In other words, don't, especially at the beginning, don't try to do a spiccato hopping up and down. That's actually not really even what you necessarily want for this piece, certainly not at first as you're learning it. It should be what we call a scrub stroke, or at least we sometimes call it that. Really, it should be right at the balance point of the bow, and it should be not using your arm so much as using your wrist and your elbow to forearm area, right? We know we have kind of 3 pieces of the arm we can use for bowing. You know, we can use the whole arm and be opening and closing the shoulder and the whole arm as a unit, but this stroke really, we want to kind of have more in this. Notice my arm up here isn't really moving all that much, right? Really, it's mostly wrist and even a little bit of the hand and these fingers in here where I'm trying to get a little bit of this sort of floppy motion going in the bow. Okay? That's going to give me the most speed as effortlessly as possible. So that's something I would definitely work on either with open strings or with my scale. Or with just a closed 4th finger like I was just doing. Really, it's up to you. I would say start with open. Maybe it's 8 to a bow to begin with, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whatever it may be, get comfortable with this as a stroke before you worry too much about the notes, right? Piano to begin. Okay, so obviously once you get to the middle section, this part is very different than the 16th notes that you were just working on. Those really just need to be done with a metronome, get them nice and even, get them feeling good, feeling strong, and get the tempo you want. Then we have a retard into the meno mosso section, right? And this part needs to be the antithesis, or you know, the opposite of the section A, right? We want big, long bows. Remember I was talking about arm stroke? I was talking about elbow to the wrist versus arm. Well, now we want the whole arm, right? right? So now we want these big, large bows that are giving us this big, smooth sound. You heard some retards. You even saw my best, like, the Yo-Yo Ma lean back there on the chromaticism in bar 47, 48. Right? So, anyway, this part needs to really have that sort of soul and that feeling to it. Take time in places. There are several places marked. You could find some others to do so. And this is very much an ABA form, right? This is our opportunity to be sort of slurpy and romantic before we get back to these 16th notes in the end, right? You saw there just a quick note on one of those shifts in 42. That's one that takes some time. You have... So I need to get my left hand extended. I have my extended second position there. That's one that I think takes a lot of work. A minor arpeggio there, right? So I need to get my first finger on a C natural and then extend to my 4. But really I should have that extension working before I even play my C natural. So, see, my 4 is already extended. Okay, cool. Honestly, in the last of this, it's a lot like the first part, right? And then we have our coda. Coda begins in measure 75. Okay, so those last couple notes, we've got to watch out for those 4th finger harmonics, right? Make sure that all your other fingers get up off the string and it's just your pinky, right? Now I would just practice those a few times on their own before you do the open string first. Remember, it's always going to give you a better harmonic if you make sure that you're really dug into the string and you get some weight to that bow. Okay? Great. Hope that was helpful. Good luck.